So why is it that no amount of budgeting, investing more money, or working harder is going to actually change your bank balance long term? Well, the very clue is in the fact that success and financial success can actually feel like a whole threat to our nervous system. And today I want to talk about something called the money set point and how your whole nervous system, your body has a very unique set point for how much wealth it believes that it is safe to hold. So let's find out what your safety point may be today. And if your income rises above that set point, what happens and what do we do about it? Because your body will find a way to bring money and wealth back down through overspending patterns, self-sabotage, or just simply turning down opportunities. How is that even possible? Well, your nervous system is very interconnected to money, and that's what we're going to be diving into today. This isn't a episode or a video about positive affirmations or just thinking rich thoughts. This is about the whole biology of safety in your body, because until your body feels safe to hold more wealth, your mind cannot override it. The body will always win. So I'm going to walk you through 3 beautiful somatic money techniques today that I personally have used in my own practices to start expanding your money set point so that your nervous system stops treating success like a financial threat. Now, why did I start using these practices as a former financial advisor, knowing all there is to know about money? Well, there became a point in my business where on paper I was doing really well, multiple streams of income, clients that I absolutely adored working with. I had a team of people in my business. And yet every single time my revenue in the business went up, I found myself doing things that were really completely irrational. I'd start to undercharge with new clients. I would take on multiple projects that I didn't really have the capacity for. And so rather than sitting and riding in the flow of all of this success and actually greater capacity for myself because I had a team of people supporting me, all I remember thinking at the time was, why do I keep doing this? Like, I know it doesn't make logical sense. And I had the knowledge, but the knowledge wasn't the problem. The problem was that somewhere deep in my nervous system, having more, whether it was more support from my team, more money, being more visible in my work, actually felt dangerous. It didn't feel freer. It didn't feel like financial freedom at all. It just felt like something that would be suddenly taken away from me and like I'd have to become this different person. And there was a lot of evidence of this in my family lineage. Whenever somebody had really strong financial success, they couldn't hold on to it. It was taken away suddenly. And that is exactly what we mean when we talk about why success can feel unsafe. It is a protection response that your body has learned, normally long before you are even aware of it. And so often the question is, how do we expand into what feels familiar? And that's what these 3 techniques are for today. So let me explain, firstly, before we go into each of these 3 techniques, what actually is happening in your body when you start to approach this money set point. And maybe you are familiar with some of these as I navigate through these. The first one is your nervous system, and specifically your autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system is constantly scanning your environment for any signals of threat, danger, or safety. And this is happening obviously underneath, unconsciously, and it's your body's kind of threat detection system, if you like, almost like the bouncer on the door. And for so many of us, we have a very complicated relationship with money, whether that's growing up in a home where money was scarce or money was creating conflict or stressful conversations. And so what happens is our body's receptors learns by taking this information in around our surroundings, that money or anything associated with money became a threat signal. And maybe that threat signal was an argument or raised voices or tension that you may have picked up on in the home, or things just not being quite right. And where it gets really interesting when we dive into this is that when your income now, as the older version of yourself, when your income begins to rise above some of those familiarity patterns and those safety patterns, when success starts to really happen, then what happens is your nervous system is reading that information, is taking that into your like your receptors, and it's taking that in as unknown territory. It's not familiar. And unknown territory equals potential threats. So think of it a little bit like this. Imagine that you grew up in a house where the heating only ever reached a certain temperature. It was never warm enough, but it was known, and it was safe in your own kind of way. And imagine now that somebody turned that temperature up, and actually you felt really uncomfortable with that raise in temperature. Maybe you'd want to open a window out or to bring that temperature back down to what felt more comfortable, more normal. Well, your nervous system is doing the exact same thing with money. It's trying to maintain a temperature that feels safe, that feels familiar, even if that temperature is keeping you cold, and even if it logically doesn't make sense. So the real work isn't just in financial strategy or financial education. It's working with our nervous system and teaching our nervous system a new normal by expanding its capacity of what actually is possible, and you are still safe, you are still okay, expanding that kind of thermostat, if you like. And that is done in the body. It's done through what we call somatic work, body work. And let me walk you through 3 very simple techniques, but don't underestimate the power of simplicity here. And the somatic technique, the first one I want to introduce you to is what we call safety anchoring. And this is the foundation, I believe, of expanding these comfort zones or these set points by, first of all, creating this real felt sense of safety in your body. And this doesn't come from the mind. It's not a thought about safety. This is an actual physical, visceral experience of it. And here's how to do this practice. So just pause for a moment wherever you are watching this or listening to this on the podcast. And obviously, if you're driving, come back to this a little bit later. And I want you just to very consciously just take a breath in. And as you take this breath into your body, I want you to sort of feel the weight of your body, whether that's in your chair, whether that's standing with your feet on the floor, but just feeling yourself physically supported as you notice and bring attention to your breath. And just notice how it feels to be held, to feel grounded, to feel supported. And that very quick, simple exercise right in that moment is where your body is anchoring into this feeling of safety. And we can go and access this at any time. And now that you're feeling anchored and grounded, and there are many somatic exercises to create safety and groundedness. This is a very, very quick one. But I want you to think of a time where you felt financially safe. And it could be a moment where you've just been paid, you've paid a bill, or a moment where you've made a purchase, you've had some savings in place, you're really happy with that purchase, or a moment maybe where you've emptied out your winter coat pockets and you found a £10 note. You love it when that happens. Just something where money felt positive. And as you bring that moment into your minds, I want you to see if you can connect this into a feeling in your body. Is there a particular part of your body where you feel this safety? And if the money connection is throwing up too much for you, then take the money question out and just use your breath, ground your feet on the floor, feel supported, and just notice where you feel that in your body. You might feel it in your feet as you're feeling grounded. You might feel it in your heart space. Maybe it's a softening kind of around your shoulders. And just stay there for a few breaths as you continue to listen to my voice. And this is very much about safety anchoring. And what you're doing here is you're showing your nervous system that there is evidence that safety is there. And so you begin to literally rewire the association with safety and money. So this little simple practice is one you can put in your toolkit. You can spend 2 or 3 minutes in this space before any financial task that you're completing, before you open up your banking app, before you're having a sales call, before you're sending an invoice. It's really preparing your nervous system to be in this state of safety rather than in patterns of threats when you engage with money. Now, technique number 2 is one, it's one of my favorites. I call this capacity expansion. And the point about your money set point is that your money set point was created at a time when a certain amount of money was as much as felt safe to be held. But that was then, from where your relationship with money was established, often at a very, very young age. And so the circumstances that created that set point aren't your current reality. But we need to teach your nervous system that. And your nervous system needs to almost like recalibrate. And it doesn't even matter if right now you're sitting listening to this or you're hearing this and you are in a more difficult financial situation now to previously, right? This is about creating safety at all points so that when we can create safety in our nervous system, even if we're in a difficult financial situation, just by creating that immediate sense, that felt sense of safety in our body, it gives us more resilience to be able to navigate the strategies or the solutions that are available to us when navigating through those difficult financial times. Some of those things may be outside of our control. Some of them may be inside our control. So this technique I'm sharing with you here is about gently kind of holding a number associated with money in your body without it triggering a response that is sending you into a state of fight or flight or stress response. So I want you to think about your income where it is now, or it might be an amount in your bank account or your savings account, whatever feels most relevant for you here. And I want you to just hold that number in your minds and just notice how that feels. Whether that creates a feeling of restriction or a sense of not enough. And I want you to mentally increase that number. And I'm not talking about like to millions of dollars or pounds, just a little. So maybe 20% higher than what it is right now. And if you struggle with the mental arithmetic like I do often, then maybe double that amount of money. And just notice what happens in your body. And keep going with this. Double that number again. Double that number again. And just pay attention to the feelings, what your nervous system is trying to communicate with you. You want to be able to find that kind of set point where suddenly it's like, oh, that's too much. And for a lot of people, when I ask them this question, even a small increase can bring up like a very subtle anxiety or feeling in the body, and a feeling of, well, that's not for me, or I wouldn't know what to do with that. Or, well, then suddenly I'm going to have all this responsibility to make decisions about what to do with it. So just notice any slight physical sensation of constriction, of contraction. And that contraction is your set point. That's the ceiling that people talk about when you might hear the expression an income ceiling point or a money ceiling point. And I want you just to simply just breathe into that sensation. And when we breathe into it, we're not trying to make that feeling go away. We're just understanding what's present in the body and that it's still safe for you to be in the room listening to this. So just notice, breathe through that feeling, feel your feet on the floor, come back to that safety anchor that we created in that first exercise. And very often, this set point that we're talking about here is really about what do we make money mean about ourselves? And that is the question I want you to sit with after this practice. What are you making money mean about yourself? Because often that resistance that you're experiencing isn't about the money at all. It's about what you believe having more money would say about who you are. And so before I go into technique number 3, which is honestly my favorite and the one that has the most transformative impact, I want to let you know that if you want to go a little deeper on this work, we have several ways that we can support you with this. There's a free money beliefs framework guide over at themoneypanel.co.uk/beliefs, and it will walk you through the process that I use to identify what the beliefs might be that are keeping you and your set point low. And I'll pop that link in the description below. And there's something else I'm going to share with you a little later that's a free online experience that's coming up in the calendar for you to come and join me at, to deepen some of these conversations and understand where is it that these set points are actually coming from and how do we move through those into establishing a new relationship with money. So with technique number 3, this is what I call the expanded heart. And if you watch my video on the 4 nervous system techniques to hold more wealth, which I'll link in the description, definitely go watch that if you haven't seen that one already. And if you haven't caught up on the other episodes in this Body of Wealth series, go check those out too. But you'll know from some of my previous work that I'm a huge believer in sitting alongside the feelings in your body, and that being one of the most powerful tools that we have to regulate our nervous system and to create a new financial identity, and doing this work in the heart. And here's why it works. Because when we breathe into the heart space, we're activating an entirely different nervous system. The heart has its own nervous system. And it shifts our nervous system from a contracted threat stress state into an open-hearted state. And so we begin to move from a state of fear into a state of love and compassion and deep inner connection. And from that open state, your money thermostat can be adjusted. Your capacity can expand. You're literally creating the physiological conditions in your body for a higher money set point. So here's the practice. And I'd love for you to do this with me right now. And You may have seen this on some of my previous videos, so I'm sharing this again with you because it's so, so powerful and it's free. Like, you can do this at any time. So I want you to just take a moment to, and you can do this with eyes open. If it is safe for you to do so, you can do this with eyes closed. And just take a moment to connect into your heart space. And I like to place my left hand onto my heart space as I do this. And just take a moment to notice your breath into your chest space, into the heart. And as you bring your awareness to your breath in the heart space, I want you to just simply bring into the heart a memory of a time when you felt love, appreciation, or gratitude. And that can be a memory of long ago or just this moment right now, where you're allowing yourself this space to feel and recognize the power of the heart. And as you sit with this moment in mind of a time when you felt love, appreciation, or gratitude, I just simply want you to notice. Just notice that feeling in your body. Notice the way that it expands out from the heart, and imagining that energy, that feeling expanding all the way out from the heart into every single cell of your body. It is opening up your chest space, your shoulders, all the way up through into your neck and your throat and your voice, all the way into your face and your cheeks and your mouth. And you can bring a lovely smile into your face and into your eyes. And you can open up your eyes if you had your eyes closed down, and just feel that in the body, wherever you notice that. And there are some deeper exercises that we can do together on this expansion into the heart space, which I would love for you to come and join me at. So if you're listening to this around end of April, May of 2026, we are hosting a beautiful event called The Great Release on the 14th of May. And we're going to be diving into the old paradigms of money, the old fear structures in society that have taught you to protect and to contract and to accumulate money with fear, and moving into this new operating system that becomes available when your body starts to feel safe. And I'll pop a link in the show notes for anyone who'd love to come and join us in that experience live together. And this little expanded heart demonstration you can come back to at any time. This is what is going to create that feeling of visionary and expansion in your nervous system. And from this place, you can start to consider your choices or your decisions around money. Because this is what it feels like to be in a state where anything is possible. Receiving money is possible. And the practice you can do with this is that every morning, just to spend a few moments in this expanded heart before you look at your emails or your phone or your bank statements, and starting your day in an open, receptive nervous system state. And by doing this, you're literally setting the tone for how your body will relate to money for the rest of the day. And if you think of the benefits of doing this, like this is neuroscience, this is somatic science applying to money right now. And it really has changed everything in my life, not just around money. Because remember, it's never really about the money. It's about how safe your body feels to receive it. So let me just recap on what we've spoken about today, because I want you to leave this with like a real sense of clarity around how you can raise these safety points and these anchors in your body. So your nervous system has this set point for how much wealth is safe for you to hold and make and receive. And so when your income approaches or exceeds that set point, your body is going to treat it like a threat, and it will find ways to bring things back down. And it's not a mindset issue, it's a somatic biological response. So those 3 techniques to start expanding your set point are safety anchoring, creating that physical felt sense of safety before any money conversation, the capacity expansion, gently practicing holding a bigger number in your body and breathing into the resistance, and asking yourself, what am I making this mean? And then finally, the expanded heart, deeply connecting into the heart space every morning to set your nervous system into this open, receptive state. And they're not quick fixes. They are an embodied practice. And like any embodied practice, they work through repetition, consistently giving your nervous system reminders, new evidence of what is safe. And it can start messy, guys. You don't have to have this perfect. It's just really about starting. So if you do want to go deeper on this, come and join me at the Great Release events, or you can grab that free money beliefs framework at themoneypanel.co.uk/beliefs or /great release. And both of these resources, all of these resources are completely free. And I really hope that you have enjoyed this series in the Body of Wealth. I'm really looking forward to joining you on a brand new series that we have coming up on the podcast and on this YouTube channel very, very soon. But in the meantime, remember, it's never about the money, and wishing you all the very best in your journey with your relationship with money. I'll see you soon.